Meet the Candidates Forum, a forum for candidates in the August 9th primary election for Mayor of Coon Rapids and Ward 3 Council member. The top two vote getters in the Mayoral and Ward 3 elections will be on the ballot in the general election on November 8th. I'm Lonnie McCauley of the Anoka Blaine Coon Rapids League of Women Voters, which sponsors Meet the Candidates. All candidates were invited to the forum. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political candidate or party. The League does help citizens become informed voters and advocates on important issues. This forum is about informing voters. If you're interested in the League, visit our webpage on lwvabcmn.org. I'll go over that again. lwvabcmn.org. Women, men, and young people are invited. I want to welcome and introduce you to Leslie Waterhouse of the ABC League of Women Voters, who lives in the city of Big Lake and who will moderate the forum. Leslie.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Waterhouse, and as Lonnie had told you, a League of Women Voters member, and I live in Big Lake, and I won't be voting in the primary election. So welcome to the Coon Rapids Mayoral Forum. Jerry Cook, Sharon Compton, and Todd Jones were unable to attend this evening. So we'll start the forum with questions the candidate was given in advance, and so Jerry, you will have 60 seconds to respond. So to begin, what is your motivation to run for this office? And what experience or knowledge would help you serve effectively?
Thank you. My name is Jerry Cook, and I am thankful to serve as the mayor of the great city of Coon Rapids. I would first like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this candidate forum. My motivation is straightforward. Coon Rapids is my home, and I love Coon Rapids. In 1952, my mom and dad moved to Coon Rapids to make it their home. With my wife of more than 30 years, Sue, we decided to make Coon Rapids our home, and along with myself, 4 of our now adult children graduated from Coon Rapids High School. My current time on the council has led me to be the president of the North Metro Mayors Association, to serve on the executive board and as vice president of the Twin Cities Gateway Visitors Bureau, and serve as one of 3 hosts for the Anoka County elected officials meetings, served on the board of the Community Strength Foundation and the board of Youth First. I understand how to run meetings, how to communicate clearly, how to lead, and I believe I serve effectively as mayor.
Thank you. Next, what are your goals for Coon Rapids' future?
Coon Rapids needs to be a place where our residents feel safe, our businesses feel supported, and all families feel welcome. My goals are to continue to work with council to support our law enforcement and our fire department. We need to support all of our necessary city staff, and we need to continue to equip them with the proper tools to effectively support our residents and businesses. We need to continue updating our infrastructure. All of our residents and businesses need clean water, effective storm and sanitary sewers, good roads, safe neighborhoods, and balance these investments with reasonable property taxes.
Thank you. Our third question. How have you and might you collaborate with others to get the best outcomes on important issues to benefit the public?
My involvement runs deep, and much collaboration comes from being involved in the community. From being a past chair of the Anoka Ramsey Community College Foundation Board, twice president of the Coon Rapids Rotary Club, past Cub Master for Cub Scout Pack 524, which was the pack my dad helped form back in 1964, past president of what was known as the North Metro Realtors Association, and I continue to serve on their Governmental Affairs Committee at the St. Paul Area Association of Realtors. I'm a past chair and board member of the North Star Regional MLS, recently chaired the Coon Rapids High School All-Class Reunion Committee, and serve on the annual Coon Rapids Tree Lighting Committee. My background is filled with experience that forms my actions and ideas. Being a long-term, second-generation real estate broker, my understanding of private property rights and the impact of how development, ordinances, property taxes, and even neighbors can influence property values aids in many of my decisions and serves to benefit the public.
And fourth question. Given the rising cost for housing in the city, 1-bedroom rent averaging $14,000 per year and homes averaging $330,000, what do you plan to do to encourage affordable housing or otherwise ensure all citizens can afford to live in Coon Rapids?
I have great empathy for folks struggling to find affordable housing. Some folks will have to get creative in order to own or rent their own place. My first home, I partnered with a friend, and then we rented out bedrooms in order to afford the home. My second home, I purchased on my own, but still rented out a room to help defray costs. When I married, it was our combined incomes that allowed us to purchase the homes we purchased. Coon Rapids is one of the more affordable cities in Anoka County. While I think median is a better measure of values, you have based the question around average prices. As of June, the average price in Coon Rapids is $306,572. This is $60,000 lower than the average of $366,000 for all of Anoka County. While not currently for sale, Coon Rapids has more than 9,000 homes with a value under $300,000, approximately 3,400 of which are below $250,000. We have more affordable housing than most of Anoka County, and while that may not be enough help for those on the margin, I think it's time for other communities to step up.
Thank you. And then final, if you'd like to go ahead with your closing statements.
Sure, thank you. I hope my work as mayor is found to be worthy of another term. I have been to as many places as I was able. I have visited several schools and classrooms of kids, thanked new businesses in town at their ribbon cuttings and open houses. I've worked with our community development doing business visits in town to be sure our employers know we appreciate them in town. Every decision I make is based on what is best for Coon Rapids. It is said that it is easy to get things done when you don't care who gets credit for it. That's how I operate as mayor, and given the great relationship we have with staff, we've been able to get a lot done for Coon Rapids. From park redevelopment, the splash pad, the amazing sports complex of Sand Creek Park, to keeping a vital golf course, restaurant, and event center flourishing. We worked together to navigate a pandemic with a steady hand on the tiller and without overreaction. We did the best we could to mitigate interruptions for our businesses in town and tried our best to keep Coon Rapids as normal as possible. With all of this in mind, I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, for attending this evening and for speaking to voters about issues and running for the mayor of Coon Rapids. We'll now take a break and prepare for the candidates for Ward 3.
Thank you.
Did you know properties are required to have garbage and recycling service with a licensed hauler? On Collection Day, place your carts 2 feet behind the curb. Collection containers should not be placed in the street. And don't forget, containers are not allowed at the curb on non-collection days. For more information on this and other city codes, log on to coonrapidsmn.gov.
Good evening. We will restart the forum by welcoming the Coon Rapids Ward 3 candidates, Pablo Hernandez, Diego Morales, and Sean Novak. The candidates will answer 3 introductory questions they received in advance, followed by any questions submitted by the public via our website, and questions of importance to the League of Women Voters. We'll end with closing statements. Answers are limited to 60 seconds for each question. Candidates will take turns being the first to answer a question. We'll start the forum with questions the candidates were given in advance and then rotate each candidate's presentation. And names were drawn, and we start with Pablo Hernandez, and then second Sean Novak, and then Diego Morales. So the first question, Mr. Hernandez, what is your motivation to run for this office, and what experience or knowledge would help you to serve effectively?
Well, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this event. And first off, my motivation is the residents of Coon Rapids and the residents of Ward 3. And I have lived in Coon Rapids starting in November, will be 20 years. And I could say since 2009, I have worked with many great people, many great organizations in terms of youth sports, from basketball to wrestling to football. And I've always taken that step forward. I've always stepped up to the plate in terms of volunteering, putting my time and efforts towards the kids, towards the parents, towards the city, and towards organizations. And I can definitely say that I've always put that foot forward. And the last 9 months, going on 10 months, I was chosen to step up and be part of the Ward 3 City Council. I am the current City Council Ward 3 council member, and this has been a great learning experience for me.
Mr. Novak, same question. Would you like the question repeated?
No, thank you. Once again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. My combination of longtime residency, experience in the community, and having to examine things from a business perspective make me uniquely qualified to represent the residents and businesses of the community. I'm very invested in this city, both as a resident and a business owner. I was raised here and graduated from Coon Rapids Senior High, class of 1989. My parents were active in several community service organizations here for decades, and they instilled that sense of duty and community into me. When they died in '04, my wife Cheryl and I continued their mission, founding a community service scholarship in their honor, and also assisting in the process of getting the most recent American Legion post in the state named after my father, Patrick M. Novak, Post 5222. We've lived here together for 19 years, raised our 2 children here, and worked with several community service organizations, including Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and Coon Rapids Lions and Snowflake Association. As I mentioned, I'm not only a resident of Ward 3, I've also been an accredited business owner here in the ward for 5 years, and I'll be looking after the interests of both the residents and the businesses that employ them.
And Mr. Morales, would you like the question repeated?
No, thank you. My name is Diego Morales. I've been a resident of Coon Rapids for 6 years. Me and my family uprooted ourselves from Las Vegas, Nevada, up to Minnesota about 9 years ago, and we chose to establish ourselves here in Coon Rapids, buy our first house here in Coon Rapids. We got married here in Coon Rapids, and we chose to start our family with a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old whose birthday coincidentally is going to be this weekend. So I am mostly focused on on family, community, looking to make improvements here in Coon Rapids, looking to get the younger generation involved a lot more. The younger generation is the future of not just Coon Rapids, but this nation. So we need to try and get them involved a little bit more. On a day-to-day basis for my job, I am a construction worker. I work with developers. I work with city council members from across the state, working for responsible and affordable developments throughout the counties here in the metro area. So I have a lot of experience working with city councils, developers, and planning commissions.
Thank you. And the second question, we'll start with you, Mr. Novak. What are your goals for Coon Rapids' future?
I love Coon Rapids. That's why I still live here after all this time. I remember as a kid in 1983 traveling through the snow to the state basketball championship when Coon Rapids beat Woodbury in overtime. All we heard from other people in the crowd was, "Where the heck is Coon Rapids?" We're a little bigger now, and many challenges come with that. I want to make sure that the city can work with the citizens and businesses to get to the solutions to those issues, including jobs, housing, strain on the infrastructure and utilities, and public safety, and not stand in their way needlessly. I feel the area city council can help the most with is public safety. My father was a Minneapolis police officer for 30 years, and I worked with security for Hennepin County and the Minnesota Senate for 8 years. After Dad retired and started Shamrock Investigations, we worked together until 2004, contracting out to the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security for defense security services. Here in Coon Rapids, I served on the Safety Commission for 8 years. Public safety is something that I'm very familiar with, and I want to make sure that the community stays safe as we continue to grow.
Mr. Morales?
So my goals for Coon Rapids is to look into responsible and affordable developments here in the city of Coon Rapids. Like I said previously, I work with multiple developers and general contractors and subcontractors throughout the metro. So trying to integrate that here into Coon Rapids is one of my main goals. Also looking to get into the public safety. There's been a spike in crime here recently in the city of Coon Rapids, and a lot of the constituents are actually very weary about everything that's been going on with public safety in the schools. So looking to see what we can do to work with our police officers, our fire department, to actually combat that a little bit. And also looking to get into renewable resources here for the city of Coon Rapids. We are one of the biggest pit stops here before traveling up north further to St. Cloud or anywhere out past Coon Rapids. So we need to set the example for other cities and look into more renewable resources.
Mr. Hernandez?
I think the goals for Coon Rapids, I'd like to start out with the residents of Ward 3. And I'd like to create more transparency first with that, and to be more involved with the residents, and to promote more public safety. I've worked hand in hand with our police department, with our fire department as well. Over these last 9 to 10 months, I was part of the Multicultural Advisory Committee, and we've had great success with that. And that is promoting, being proactive with when it comes to the recent events over the last couple of years, the events that happened in Minneapolis and Brooklyn Center. They are really trying to be proactive when it comes to training their officers and promoting safe and proactive measures in the community. So we are really trying to be more transparent when it comes to being involved with our community residents.
And our third question, and we'll start with you, Mr. Morales. How have you and might you collaborate with others to get the best outcomes on important issues to benefit the public?
On a day-to-day basis, I work through a 6-state area. I don't just work here in Minnesota. I represent well over 10,000 members. So I've created relationships with, different entities, different politicians. So we work in different states with different people, all very diverse backgrounds. You just go to the east, go to the west, go south of here, and it's completely different than what it is here in Minnesota. So if I'm able to put aside our differences to get to the common goal that's for the best of our membership that I do on a daily basis, I'd be more than easily or capable of doing that here in the city of Coon Rapids for all the constituents of Ward 3.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hernandez?
Without involvement and presence, there can be no best outcomes. I would be the first to step up and involve not only our police department, our fire department, our city council, our mayor, and most importantly, our Coon Rapids residents must be involved, and I would love to work side by side with them and achieve our goals to make our issues turn into wins.
Thank you. And Mr. Novak?
Most of the community organizations I've been involved with are all volunteer. So a great deal of diplomacy and willingness to compromise, to collaborate is required in order to make them work properly. The key to this kind of environment is to stay organized, but to also stay relaxed and have fun. You're there to try to do good for a particular group or cause, and it doesn't have to be a chore. Professionally, I'm a member of the Better Business Bureau of Minnesota and North Dakota Accredited Business Advisory Council, which is an organization that represents the interests of all member businesses across both states. I'm currently the treasurer on the executive board of the Anoka Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is to advance the commercial, industrial, civic, and general interests of the cities in our area. Each of us on the BBB Council and the Chamber Board is a business owner, but we have to put the needs of all of the members ahead of our individual interests, just like a city council member should be putting the interests of their ward ahead of their own personal desires.
Thank you. And for our fourth question, we'll start with you, Mr. Hernandez. Given the rising costs for housing in the city, one-bedroom rent averaging $14,000 per year and homes averaging $330,000 per year, what do you plan? Averaging $330,000. They don't have to pay that every year.
Yeah.
What do you plan to do to encourage affordable housing or otherwise ensure all citizens can afford to live in Coon Rapids?
Well, out of the 4 cities surrounding us, Coon Rapids ranks second lowest at $190,000 with the average effective property tax of 1.07. And I cannot control the housing market, but I would like to see is maybe come together with a possible developer or builder to maybe create a community with affordable homes and just to possibly see rent costs go down and give more opportunities for home loans for residents and have more of our residents actually, get more, let's say, more skin in the game, and actually you create, let's put more skin in the game here in Coon Rapids, and create some more home ownership in the city.
And next, Mr. Novak, same question. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine. I've been a financial professional for 12 years, working with families on this type of issue. The economy's not been kind to anyone over the last 20 years, but anybody who's age 50 and younger has weathered 2 recessions since the year 2000 during the middle of their prime earning years. What that means is that the reasons for the rising cost of housing isn't limited to Coon Rapids. So the solutions for the rising cost of housing can't be found in the city of Coon Rapids alone. Trying to react to short-term issues with long-term solutions is only going to cause more issues in the future. In the last 30 years, Coon Rapids has grown nearly 20% in population, so an increase in housing is necessary. But what I would do as a city council member is to work to determine how we can eliminate barriers to the construction of new housing at the local level. Things the council can have a say in include permitting and inspection fees, zoning, and property taxes. By building flexibility into our zoning ordinances and streamlining the permitting process, we can increase the number of housing units in the city and help relieve the burden of low supply.
And Mr. Morales.
Thank you. So currently, the average median income for here in Coon Rapids is $76,169. And when you're talking about the average rent is $13,000 a year, you're looking at about 19% of their income going straight for just a one-bedroom apartment complex here in the city of Coon Rapids. My goal is to look at what our neighboring cities are currently doing in Blaine, in Columbia Heights, in Brooklyn Park, in Chaplin, in Anoka, and learn off of them. They're doing a lot of tax increment financing to be able to bring in these developers that are actually building affordable and responsible developments here in the city of Coon Rapids. I don't think the answer is to build more houses. Building more houses is not going to resolve the issues that we currently have. We need to bring in the correct developers into the city of Coon Rapids to create affordable housing.
And we'll begin closing statements with you, Mr. Novak.
Thank you. I'd just like to close by saying again, thank you to the League of Women Voters. This type of forum is very useful when it comes to getting to know candidates, and an educated electorate is really what we need in this country to ensure that you have the right representatives. Personally, I'm a lover of this city. That's why I'm running. And I'm not looking to make this a stepping stone to a further political career. I'm running because I think I can help this city, and that's what I'd like to do. If the voters of the city of Coon Rapids feel that I can do that, then I'd appreciate their vote.
And next, Mr. Morales.
I want to start off by thanking the League of Women Voters by setting up this forum here, first and foremost. And I just want to reach out to the younger generation and let them know you need to be the change that you want to see here in the city of Coon Rapids. It starts by getting out to vote. Hopefully I can count with some people's votes. I'll just keep it short and simple. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Hernandez.
Again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this forum. And like I said, I've put my time in. I've put a lot of years into the youth. My track record shows. And I was raised in St. Paul, but I can honestly say and proudly say that I grew up in Coon Rapids, and this is my home. And I do plan to roll up my sleeves and continue on to put in the hard work for this city, because this is a city where I plan to grow old and hopefully one day get a park bench named after me. Huh? So, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, candidates, for speaking to voters about issues and for being here this evening and for running for Ward 3 council members. And thank you, CTN TV, for their video production. Thank you, viewers, for your interest in becoming informed voters as we move through the election season. Link to all our local election forums at lwvabcmn.org, as well as the CTN website and YouTube. If you need to register to vote or update your registration, you can do that online at mnvotes.org or when you go to vote. Make your voice heard in the primary election by voting on or before August 9th. The broadcast for the council member starts this Friday, 8 a.m., and then 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. every day on Channel 16 in Coon Rapids. Thank you very much and have a good evening.